Good afternoon, everybody. The topic for today's video is Circassian and Circassian people. Once the largest ethnic group of the Caucasus, nowadays Circassians are dispersed around the world. Circassians call themselves Adıgı and their language Adıgabze. Circassian language is divided by two dialect groups: Eastern, which incorporates Cabardin and Besleney dialects, and Western, which includes Shapsugh, Abzakh, Chemgui, and Bzedugh dialects. Circassian language is considered as one of the hardest languages in the world. For instance, the phonological system of Shapsugh dialect contains more than 60 consonants and only 3 vowels. Circassian nation historically consisted of 12 subethnic groups: Kabardians, Besleney, Shapsugh, Bzedugh, Chemgui, Abzakh, Mamkhagh, Natkhwai, Yagaroquai, Ubugh, Hataquai, and Jane. The ancestral territory of Circassians, known in Circassian as Adıgı, is situated in the northwestern part of the Caucasus. Historically, Circassians were occupying the Black Sea coast from Anapa until Sochi. Circassians were also inhabiting the mountainous regions as well as the plains around Kuban River, known in Circassian language as Pshize. Nowadays, in the Caucasus, Circassian native population can be found in Kabardino-Balkaria, up to 500,000, Karachay-Cherkessia, 57,000, Adygea, 110,000, Krasnodar region, 24,000, Stavropol region, 10,000, and North Ossetia, 2,000. It is noteworthy that the vast majority of Circassians are residing abroad. The largest Circassian community exists in Turkey. Unfortunately, Turkish authorities are reluctant to disclose the statistics on the ethnic groups living in the country. Nevertheless, given the fact that more than 900 Circassian settlements exist in Turkey, at a conservative estimate, the total number of Turkish Circassians must exceed 1 million. In addition, a sizable Circassian diaspora exists in Syria, Jordan, and Israel. In 20th century, tens of thousands of Circassians moved to Germany and the US. Some of the listeners might have noticed me using words Kabardino-Balkaria, Karachay-Cherkessia, and Adygea. Those who are unfamiliar with the ethnology of Circassian people may consider Kabardians, Circassians, Adygeans as separate ethnicities. The reality is quite opposite. Kabardians, Circassians, Adygeans, Shapsugh, in fact, are indispensable parts of Circassian nation. Circassians were artificially divided by the Soviet regime by 4 different so-called nationalities. These divided groups of Circassian peoples were unified with Turkic Karachay-Balkars into 2 separate republics, namely Karachay-Cherkessia and Kabardino-Balkaria. It is the same if the English nation would have been colonized by an external power and divided into Geordie, Brahmi, and Londoner nations. Despite such a policy, Circassians all over the world have a strong sense of ethnic unity and don't recognize this artificial division. The origins of Circassian people are not definitely known, but the data driven from the archaeological excavations have led many scholars to consider the Circassians to be direct descendants of Dolmen and Maykop archaeological cultures, widespread in the northwestern Caucasus thousands of years ago. According to the prominent Russian linguist Vyacheslav Ivanov, Circassian language has remarkable parallels with Hattic language, an ancient language of the Asia Minor spoken by Hattians in the 2nd millennia before Christ. In the medieval period, Circassians of the Black Sea had an intensive encounter with the Byzantine Empire. The Byzantine clergy was facilitating the spread of Christianity among Circassians. even though Christianity could not manage to overshadow Circassian traditional polytheistic religion. Since 18th century, influenced by Ottoman Empire, a widespread Islamization occurred among Circassians. Nowadays, the vast majority of Circassians are Sunni Muslims. Only a small community of Circassians in Mozdok practice Orthodox Christianity. The first attempt of consolidation of Circassian communities into the state was the establishment of Grand Cabardin Principality in the 15th century. According to the legend, this principality was established by Inal the Great, who eventually became its first ruler. The Cabardin Principality was matching territories of contemporary Kabardino-Balkaria and Karacháyevo-Cherkessia. Contrary to the Eastern Circassians, the Western Circassian tribes have not developed feudal relationships and instead were governed by the local elderly people known as Thamatakhar. The decline of Circassia has begun with Russia's expansion to the northwestern Caucasus. Russian troops first time appeared in Circassian land in 1763 when they established a fortress near Mezdegu, modern-day Mozdok. Tsarist Russian Empire desperately needed to control the strategically important trade routes on the Black Sea coast. In order to accomplish this goal, Russia needed to get rid of indigenous population resisting the establishment of Tsarist rule. As the result of almost century-long Russian-Circassian war, 80% of Circassia's territory has been depopulated. Up to 90% of ethnic Circassians were either killed or forced to flee to the Ottoman Empire. The last battle between Circassians and Russian troops occurred on 21st May of 1864 near Cabardin village. This was the last pocket of Circassian resistance. Nowadays, this place is called Krasnaya Polyana, where in 2014 Russia's President Vladimir Putin held the Winter Olympic Games. A modern day in Kabardino-Balkaria, Karacháyevo-Cherkessia and Adygea represent the small islands of the historical Circassia that once dominated northwestern Caucasus for centuries. Nowadays, Circassian activists at home and abroad are struggling to achieve three strategic goals. First, recognition of Circassian genocide. So far, the genocide has been recognized only by Georgia. Second, the repatriation of more than a million Circassians from abroad to their historical homeland. And third, the unification of Kabardino-Balkaria, Karacháyevo-Cherkessia and Adygea into one Circassian republic. Nevertheless, Russian authorities are not willing to meet any of these demands. Furthermore, Putin has built his infamous palace on the ruins of Circassian village. Circassians are well known by their rich folklore. Nart Saga is the unique series of legends and fairy tales about the giants or heroes known as Narts. The Nart Saga contains the elements of Circassian mythology and sheds light on the origin of Circassian nation and many other historical events. Circassians have very rich musical culture. Among the musical instruments are shchapshin, apapshin, kamil, and others. Circassians have their etiquette known as Adyga Khabze. Adyga Khabze served as the set of the laws designed to resolve the disputed cases. Adyga Khabze was also forming the worldview and moral code of Circassians. Circassians are also known by their sophisticated clothing. Almost all Caucasian peoples have been influenced by Circassian clothes design, and the male woolen coat is still known in Russian as Cherkeska. Thanks for watching us, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel.